unnecessary. Listen to me. Listen to me. There is a killer on the loose. We can't have... Stop this music. We can't have this dance.
We don't care.
Look, if you just give me a few minutes,
Shut up.
I can explain to you all what is going on. Please?
Whatever.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Let me start by talking about the 1981 legend, My Bloody Valentine.
20 years after a Valentine's Day tragedy, a small town prepares for its annual holiday dance. When a box of candy arrives containing an eerie warning and a blood-soaked heart, the town folks realize that this Valentine's Day, romance is dead, and so are they. Rated R.
Now, I have to say that this movie has a ton of characters, although you don't really get to know much about them as the movie progresses. First, we have TJ, played by Paul Kelman. He is the son of the mayor, who is also the owner of the mine where everybody works in town. He just got back from a stint out west, failing to do whatever he went out there to do, but we don't actually know what he was there to do. He finds out that his old flame Sarah is now dating his friend Axel. He's also back to working in the mines, something he obviously does not want to do. I think Kelman does a good job of showing TJ's struggles with these things, plus he's a cutie. Axel is played by Neil Affleck, the de facto leader of the group since TJ's disappearance. He works the mines and is dating Sarah. He does try to welcome TJ back to the team. Affleck does a serviceable job with the role. Finally, we have Sarah, who's played by Lori Hollier. She's the girlfriend of Axel and former girlfriend of TJ. However, she is having mixed feelings about TJ's return. I was actually pleasantly surprised with how well Sarah was written. Sure, she's pretty and she wants to go to the Valentine's Day dance. Who doesn't? But she also stands up for herself and even fights back at the killer. Hollier played her more dynamically than I was expecting. There is a slew of other characters throughout the movie, at least a dozen other miners and their ladies. And there were even more cuties in there. Plus you have the sheriff, the mayor, and Mabel, owner of the laundromat, who also helped set up the party. Now, the characters are not fully fleshed out with rich background stories, but they aren't cliches either. I feel like we were given just enough background on them to understand who they are and how they will act, though they still felt pretty disposable. There was also this sense of camaraderie between them that made them feel much more real. Like they all grew up together and we get to see them now here in early adulthood. Plus the love triangle was a nice diversion from all the calamity. Speaking of this feeling of realness, the settings and visuals felt very authentic. The movie was filmed in a small town in Nova Scotia, which included a real mine, and sometimes the actors were about 900 feet underground.
Wow.
There was actually some inherent danger from filming underground like that. Only certain types of light sources were allowed to be used in the mines due to possible gas interactions. But this didn't hurt the visuals at all. I was worried that a movie taking place in mines would be too dark and grainy to see, especially for a 1981 film. But that wasn't the case. The lighting looked great, while still maintaining enough darkness to be unsettling. The same goes for the town itself. It just felt so real. Oftentimes in movies, locations can feel artificial, whether that's fake dirty or fake clean. There's always this sense that we're watching something staged. Like if you're watching a scene in a restaurant, it's usually well cleaned and put together. It loses this sense of realism because we know that the sugar canisters aren't always full, that the seats are squeaking, and there's always this chatter going on in the background. But with My Bloody Valentine, I felt more immersed in the setting. Maybe it's the age of the film, the warm lighting, or the fact that I know that it's a real town. I just felt that I was there. The Valentine's decorations are quaint and homemade. This authenticity paired with likable characters really gave the film a sense of community. As a fan of horror and slashers, I was pretty excited to watch this one. Though after watching, I was a bit confused about all the reviews I was reading that said the movie was super gory and ultra violent. Sure, 12 people die in the movie, but it wasn't in any way that I would consider very gory. I think the reason for this is because of how current movie rating systems work. I could go to the movies right now and see Terrifier 3 and see somebody carved in half with a chainsaw. Or I could watch any of the Saw movies where somebody has to self-mutilate to escape deadly traps. I understand that this movie was probably considered quite graphic when it came out in 1981. I also know that it was a lower budget film. I read that there were issues with the censors before the release of the film, and a couple scenes had to be trimmed or cut. This film, like many films of the time, rely on more implied violence as opposed to the visual of it. People were hit by pickaxes, nail guns, all kinds of things. But the camera would often quickly cut to a different angle or shadowed view. Let me show you what I mean. Like me with this axe. Well, at this point, you're probably expecting to see a lot of blood come gushing out. But you're not going to see that. Instead, the camera is probably going to switch to a close-up of my face. Or maybe we'll do a close-up of the killer's face. Alright, now it's time for the axe to come out. But as the axe is removed, the camera is going to switch to probably a shot showing the back of the killer pulling the axe out. Now that the axe is out, this is when the character falls. Alright, now let's see how it looks all put together. The viewer knows what just happened, but has to fill in some of the visual blanks. While this did disappoint me at first, I had to remember that this film is from a different time, over 43 years ago. I did read that some of the cut footage was released around 2009, about the same time as a 3D remake of My Bloody Valentine came out, though I haven't been able to locate it just yet. I would say that the acting for the most part was a bit above a traditional slasher. Like I mentioned before, all the characters felt close to each other, which made their conversations feel real. There was one character that was way too melodramatic as usual. They were limping in the mines, banging in the walls, just completely distraught, despite not being injured at all. The conclusion of the film was satisfying, although it would probably be considered cliché by today's standards. Though, given the age of the film, I don't think it was cliché at the time. Overall, I really liked My Bloody Valentine. It was an approachable, early 80s slasher that is often well regarded. It was well made and thought out, and that is why I'm giving the 1981 movie My Bloody Valentine a sweetheart 7.5 out of 10. I really enjoy the aesthetics of the film and the more fleshed out storyline. A tragedy, a love triangle, and a ghost out for vengeance. What more could you ask for? If you saw My Bloody Valentine, sing all about it in the comments below, like a canary in a coal mine. And please like and subscribe for more diamonds just like this. Okay, guys, I hope you now understand how dangerous this really is. You need to go home now.
Great story, Boomer.
Go!
Yeah, no
Go!
one wants you around. Yeah, totally. Get out of here.
You know what? Fine. Enjoy your dance. Don't say that I didn't warn you, okay?
Cool. I'm totally gonna walk you tonight.
Well, I tried my best. There's not much else I can do. See you next week.
Huh? What? He doesn't know!